Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ceres Podcast. Today, Mark Petrou chats with a name everybody knows in the industry. Well, pretty much everybody. Barry Dickman from BD Signs. Barry's been instrumental in shaping the look of fish and chip shops for years. But today, Mark wanted to dig deeper. How did it all start and where is it all going? Quick heads up, there's still an issue with Mark's mic. We're investigating the issue. I'm hoping to sort it in the next day or two. Like I said in the last episode, it's more noticeable with earphones, less so with speakers. Thanks for bearing with us. In this episode, there is a reference to the Fry's Pride show, which was a great success, as this episode was actually recorded just before that. But in the meantime, I've held on to this episode, worrying that it might not be audibly good enough. But you know what? We thought we'd release it. It's got great takeaways in it, and we thought, yeah, Mark's mic is a little bit annoying, but it is just the way it is, and it will be resolved very soon. This episode is brought to you by Ceres, and today's product focus is the Ceres P1 chip preparation formula. The P1 chip preparation formula is an absolute game changer for anyone preparing fresh potatoes or chips, with benefits like reducing excess starch, preserving freshness, and protecting your frying oil, which is an absolute must. It's a must-have for any professional fish and chip shop owner. Proudly made in the UK, it offers exceptional value whilst ensuring your customers get the best chips. Order now at www.ceres.shop with free next day delivery across mainland UK. Your customers will definitely notice the difference. At Ceres, we're not just about batter mix. We're here to support your business with premium products, insightful podcasts, expert advice, calculators, you name it. Just let us know what's inspiring you right now. Head over to ceres.shop to find out more. There you can find our calculators, blogs, you name it. If you want to stay ahead, join our mailing list for exclusive insights, offers, competitions, all the latest news. The links will all be in the show notes. Now, enough of me. Let's get into this episode with Mark Petrou and Barry Dickman.
Barry, it's really good to have you here. For people who don't know who Barry is, I'm talking with Barry Dickman of BD Signs. How can you not know who Barry Dickman is? But I'm gonna peel back a few layers and get people to really know the true Barry Dickman, because for people that don't know you, you just seem like possibly the loudest person at a party, or the person who's most up for having being part of the community. You are you're a character, a larger than life character. But I know the real Barry Dickman, and that's what I want to try and get out today. So welcome along. It's good to have you here. We've been trying to do this for some time because we recorded it once and the sound was awful.
Yeah, I remember well.
Yeah, it's really good to have you here. Start, please, Barry, by telling us how you came into this world, because you're Cypriot born, but you came to England at a very young age, didn't you?
Yeah. I came to England when I was 2. Well, I was actually born in Cyprus on a bus. I was born with the umbilical cord around my neck, and I was actually couldn't wait to come out. So I was born on the bus whilst mum was trying to get to the hospital. So that's how I came into the world. So I came in fast. I came in travelling already, and came to England when I was 2. Living with my mother and father at the time till I was 6, 7. Bless them, my mother and father split up, and my mother moved to a little village called Allsworth, and she moved with 4 boys. So
4 boys. So you got three brothers.
Yeah. Stephen, Mario, and Michael. And we spent the first 3 or 4 years in our new home flat. It was actually a flat above a chip shop. So my mother ended up running a chip shop underneath the flat on her own on a little estate with 6 shops in a row, hairdressers and newsagents. At that time, even a bakery. And she ran the shop for 2, 3 years on her own. And we went to school and we stayed upstairs in the flat on his own, and the community was amazing.
Did you help? Obviously, at 8 years old, you were peeling spuds and doing stuff like that. But you must have, I don't know, made boxes, or so you must have helped your mum in some way. Where do you fit in? Are you the youngest of four? Are you the oldest of four?
I'm the second youngest. So Mario's the youngest, me, then Stephen, then Michael. Michael's the eldest. And we've all got 4.5 years between us. So yeah, my mum was a busy lady.
That must have been pretty intense having 3 brothers.
Oh yeah.
I've got one brother, and there's 2 years between us, and we never got on until somebody picked on one of us, and the 2 of us would unite.
Yeah.
And so having a bond with brother, obviously I know Michael because he's been in your business, but I don't know the other 2.
Yeah.
What was that like living with brothers and just your mum as well?
Well, a divorcee, a Greek lady divorcee with 4 children. In that time there, it was frowned upon. So it was tough. It was tough for her. She shielded us very well. And, we were feral. Let's be straight. 4 Greek boys with that passion, that loudness, that swearing and everything. We had some moments. Look, changing the TV over. In them days, there was no remote control. So Michael would hit Stephen on the shoulder and say, go and turn the TV over. Stephen would hit me, and then I would hit Mario, and it'd be like, change the TV. So we would go down the line, and everything was that way there,
Brilliant.
But, my mum, oh, mate, what a woman. She did all this with love. The love she gained in that little town from all of the customers and neighbours was amazing, to this day, you think I'm loud. You think that people know me. My mother's renowned.
Yeah.
She is the godmother of the community, at times. She's an amazing lady, but she's fair. She is absolutely straight down the line, was never treated one more than the other, with all 4 of us, all 4 different characters, So we grew up with a level grounding field, so to speak. I don't know what the right word is. We grew up with mother treated us all equally, and we was all different characters, and even to this day we are.
Sounds like there's a lot of respect and love there.
Massive,
for the job that she
man.
did.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
As boys got to be more brothers as we got older, we all went our own separate ways. But I think from the age of 20 onwards, we started to get more understanding what brotherhood was. Younger days, it was a different world. I left home about 16, 17 years old, and I left home then. So, it took some years afterwards.
So you grew up in and around fish and chips. So you had an affinity to fish and chips anyway. And did you ever spend any time on the tools? Did you cook fish and chips yourself?
Oh yeah. I spent time with my mum in between when she was firing me all the time. So there's one great story where I spent a lot of time in the chip shops, but I think one of the funniest parts was my mother sacked me from a shop in Ilkeston, and we lived in Kimberley at the time, I think it was, and I had to walk home with no money. Took me an hour and a half to walk home. My dad's standing at the door, and he says, "Your mum's rang. You best go back to work now." So I had to turn around.
Had to walk back. This is your stepdad?
Yeah, this is my stepdad. Yeah. Listen, I call him my father. He's my father to me, but yes, it's my stepdad, Roger. Yeah.
I know that he's had a big influence in your life as well, hasn't he?
Oh, massive. He is. I still ask him now. I still ask him advice on everything, and anything that's coming through. But it's a conversation. He's he's got a little garage. He's got 7 motorbikes in there, and you'll always find him in there. And I see all the boys do it, all the brothers do it. We go in there, we'll be having a chat with Dad, but we've gone because we need something. We've gone because we need some advice, or we need some tools or whatever. Yeah, but he's a massive part of all of our lives.
Lovely, awesome. So, I also know because we're friends, and you won't mind me saying that you're terribly dyslexic as well.
Yes.
Tell me, when you obviously grew up with your brothers and your mum in the back of a chip shop from the age of 8, you got to a point where you decided, there's a big world out there. I'm going to go out into the world. I know what you do now. I know how many customers you've got. I know how many people have trusted you with their brand, with their menus, and we're going to come to all of that. Okay, but I need to. I want the listener to understand your journey from having a single parent, having 3 brothers, growing up in a chip shop, to how you got to be Barry Dickman, larger than life character of BD Signs. So take me on that journey now, and share with me, with dyslexia as well, how you got from point A to point B.
Look, I left school. I loved the junior school and a bit of the comprehensive school. It was a tough old route. I left school with no qualifications, not one. Didn't know I had dyslexia then. So, it is a big part of my life now. I embrace what it is now. But at the time, I was just an idiot in a corner. That's what they normally called us. Somebody who didn't listen, somebody who spoke more than wrote. That's what's the dyslexic's trait. You can have a great story. You can interrupt a crowd of people in a classroom and a teacher. But when it came to putting pen to paper or logic to paper, we failed, and most dyslexics fail that way because it's something that.
Do you think that sorry to interrupt, do you think that part of your persona now at the bar is that version of you when you were trying to be larger than life, to hide the fact that you were struggling with the learning?
It has.
And that's something that you've carried on.
Yeah, it has. It is. It's a defence mechanism, and let me put it this way: it's a defence mechanism, but man, what a defence mechanism! To be able to mix with anybody, drink with anybody. I mean, if that's the only bloody problem I've got, I'm happy as Larry. I'm happy as Barry. There you are. So it is part of it, but I think it's more to take people down the journey of dyslexia. The short version. The left-hand side of everybody's brain is the control side of their brain. The right-hand side is the imagination side of the brain. And your left-hand side is normally bigger. So when you think of crazy ideas, or you're going down a path of learning something or trying something, you have the structured side of your brain, the control side, that will control you. A dyslexic is no thicker, no stupid, no lesser than anything. The problem is the right-hand side of the brain is bigger. So the party's in there, the wayward thinking, the diversifying, all of that is part of what dyslexia is. It's not a single item. And the reading and writing
is not a disability.
No, it's not a disability.
It's not a disability.
It causes a lot of problems. We seem to talk faster. We seem to diversify a lot. But if we get to the end result, the end target, we know more about that product, but we can't put it down on paper. It just wants one of them simple things. I set up in my company, when I first set up, I saw a program that was fantastic. It was a diary and a quoting system, but I could add pictures to it. So one of my downfalls is I can't remember faces. So I'm letting you all out there know, when I call you all mates and friends, it's because I have no idea what your name is. It's one of them things, because I'm face blind. I cannot relate to a face, but I can relate to your shop.
Yeah.
Because that's my passion, my business, and what I do. I can relate to that very easily. the journey I started on with work. I mean, my first job was working in a shed building firm, and it was not a good experience at all with people. Nowhere near at all. So the colour of my skin was a bit of an issue as well, and I went through a hell of a lot there. And that was when I was 15 and a half. So I left that job, not telling anybody the problem, not telling anybody what I went through. I was severely bullied and treated badly on it. Not that it matters now. It has no consequence on my life now. But that's what set me on a journey to leave home in a way. Part of it was to go out there in a bigger world. I needed to find me. I needed to really find who I was. And I left home, went to move into Nottingham City Centre, got my first taste of freedom and milked the hell out of it. You know, I was working in a clothes shop. So, you know, the tailoring industry, we had tailors in the shop and everything. And I spent a lot of time, 3, 4, 5 years in that. And I was out 6 nights a week. You know, I went out and I partied, but it wasn't the drink. Trust me, I barely ever drank when I was younger. I went out because I loved socialising. And I could be me. You could meet 1,000 different characters out there. So that's how my journey started. How I got into...
I bet you were looking sharp as well.
Oh, Jesus. Listen, suit shop, dark skin, Greek, a bit short, but, you know, math on him, mate. Life was amazing, you know. There's a lot of stories I can't tell.
No,
yeah, it was enjoyable.
We'll save that for the bar.
Yeah. That normally comes out at the bar as well. Yeah, so, that was when my journey, my personal journey started. You know, and it's...
Okay.
It was good.
So, where did you go from the rag trade? Did you go down to London?
Yes, yeah. So when I was going out all the time, there was a venue called the Avery, and one of my first ever great mentors I met was a guy called Johnny Moore. He was running he was DJing, but he was doing a lot of promotions at a place called the Avery. And one night he pulled me into his office and says, "I need to speak to you." He says, "What do you do for a living? Because every night we do a promotion, you're there. Whether it's a toga party, you're in a toga. Whether it's to swim across the Trent, you'll do it. Whether it's building a life raft, whatever it is, you're in it. And what do you do?" I says, "Well, I work in the clothes trade. I just love going out, you know, and it's what I want you to come and work for me." Not knowing what the first job was, it was launching a new nightclub when I got to a place called Mansfield's, and just me on my own, big box of leaflets, nightclub up the road, and centre of Mansfield, and just giving people leaflets saying, "Come to this new nightclub. It's opening. Come to this new nightclub." Now, because I was going out all the time, in them days, if you had a birthday party, you got a free bottle of champagne. That was the standard in nightclubs in them days. You got a little cheap bottle of Prosecco, champagne, whatever it was. So to get everybody to the nightclub, I just started saying, "Look, it's your birthday. Go to the DJ, tell him it's your birthday, and get a free bottle of champagne." Say Barry said. So this was happening all night. I was sitting on the windowsills of cars, and it was driving up to the nightclub. I was getting these people in, and coming back down, picking more people, and just constantly doing this journey. Finished the end of the night. Went to the nightclub about 1 o'clock. Went in. The manager and Johnny Moore was there, and they had a right go at me. He said, "Can't believe what you've done." And I'm like, "What?" He says, "Well, look, it's rammed. It's unbelievable. It's rammed." He says, "Yeah." He says, "But we've got no more bloody champagne. None of Mansfield's got any champagne. It's everybody's bloody birthday." So I told him to go with this birthday to get a free bottle of champagne. And that's how I started. So marketing, went to work on bigger things then. I dealt with a lot of launches of nightclubs, First Leisure, European Leisure, Northern Leisure, Scotch and Newcastle Brewery, Whitbreads, and then left that business and joined a company called FKB Colson, which was a marketing company in London, and started working on launches of brands such as Bonington's draft beer, the old widget can, remember the yellow can with the widget ball in it. So I worked on the launch on that, worked on the launch of the National Lottery, but my level of working on it was I was one of the guy who went out there with all the road shows and everything, set up the road shows and worked on the campaigns to hit target, to get so many people trying products and everything. So I did a lot of that. Did that then, 4 or 5 years. And then just then got into the fish and chip trade. I set the company up. Then I set a marketing company up. Then I dealt with Tortoise chocolates and a lot of things like that there. Sadly, it was a great business. I dealt with Lex, Transfleet, like I say, Tortoise chocolates, and a lot of big brands. But sadly, I lost my company at one point because I put all my eggs in one basket. I had 4 or 5 massive clients and a lot of small clients, and we lost a couple of clients, so we lost the company. Which
it's I've done my greatest learning through the things that didn't work in my business rather than the things that did.
Yeah, agreed.
And I guess going through something like that, it does it teaches you a lot of lessons, doesn't it?
It does do. It teaches you a lot of good about the bad, and a lot of good that you didn't see, is how I put it. It teaches you, to look at life with not so much arrogance of you can do anything. If you can win a deal today, you can win a deal tomorrow. You've got to set foundations up in businesses. I think it's an important part, and most businesses in the first 3 years fail anyway. We all know the statistics, and that's it. But, a great family unit around me, and a great wife, a phenomenal wife. She's how would I put it? She's one of my other heroes, I remember when I lost the company.
How did you meet?
How did I meet Cheryl?
How did you meet Cheryl?
So, I used to go to a bar called the Living Room in Nottingham, and there was a massive picture on the wall. This picture's 2.5, 3 meters tall, of a woman. You can't see her face. She looks like she's either going in or coming out or going out. And I used to drink to that picture every night. I used to go in. That's the woman I'm going to marry. And I swear I used to leave going, that's the woman I'm going to marry. That's my kind of woman. And just the vision of this picture. And I saw Cheryl one night and we hit it off, and literally looked at the picture, looked at her, told her to turn around and bend over, not fully bend over, just bend over a bit. I said, it's you, because that image is you through and through. I've been drinking to you for years. And, and that's just how we met generally. There was a lot of banter in between and everything. It took me a year to win her. So, she played tough. She played very tough. But, hey, I married my best friend. Absolutely. I know a lot of people have heard it before, but I absolutely married my best friend. And many people have seen us together at these events and everything. And, she'll stand beside me. She'll give me a slap and a nudge and a push, but she's always there with me.
Can I tell you what I love about Cheryl? Because I've spent a bit of time in her company. Is that she has stood by your side, and she's your champion. She absolutely believes in you 100%. And and I know that you're stronger with her. She's everybody loves her as much.
Yeah, she's part of me. She's part of me. She is part of me. Without her, I am not Barry. It's easy as that. She's the one that helped me start my business again the next day. We got liquidators in. We closed the company down. Sat at home. She said, "Well, I'll go and work at a factory. Doesn't bother me one time. But as long as I'm great at what I do, and there's a challenge, I'm happy. And if it's a factory, I'll do it all day long." And mentally, I wanted the break. She stood there, says, "There's no way you're doing that." And I swear on my life, she pulled a credit card out of her purse, gave it to me, and she's got £4,000 on it. You go out there tomorrow, go to that factory you just fitted a sign for, and you ask Henry Hallam for one of them units. So you ask him one of them units, and this Henry Hallam guy we'd met a few times, done some work for. And I went out and did that. Yeah. And I started my company again in a warehouse with no electricity, no power, no nothing. Took some machinery there, and I started again. And it was because of her I started again. I was happy, working for somebody, but I didn't even have full 24 hours.
So when you started your new company was this incarnation of BD Signs, and you. This is a new venture for you because although you had a company before. It was doing something different from what you were doing with BD Signs. This is your first step into the fish and chip business with signs and menus and everything else that BD Signs offers.
It was already growing. It was my first. It was my official step into it. The company before was called Quest, the search for recognition, because I believe most shops were on a journey, wants to be recognised for what they were. Whether it was the great food, the great venue, the great entertainment, but it was a search for recognition. The success of a shop is being recognised for what they do, and more people come in. But when I reset the company, we was already dabbling with fish and chip shops, and that came about because a lot of people asked us to help them when we went to weddings. Basically, we went to weddings. It was, Barry, how do we make ourselves as good as these other companies you work for, or the promotions, the marketing behind it. So I renamed so I reset the company. It was BD Signs, Barry Dickman Signs. One thing I didn't want to do was stay in the corporate sector only. So the natural transition, when I looked at the fish and chip industry, I noticed a big hole, and that was support for the industry at a marketing, promotion, awareness level. I saw a lot of companies doing work for the shops, but every shop looked the same. Every sign looked the same. Yeah. It was George's Fish and Chips, Sid's Fish and Chips, Fred's Kebab House, and all this stuff and everything. And every sign looked the same. Every window looked the same. Every menu looked the same. And when I looked at other sectors, shops were diverse. They were different. So why wasn't this happening for this great trade?
We are a network of independent retailers. And when you first appeared on my radar, or BD Signs first appeared on my radar, I used to be able to spot a BD Signs influenced shop from about half a mile away, because you seem to be like a breath of fresh air, and I guess that you relaunching or starting again as BD Signs was from having years of expertise in launching brands in other businesses.
Yes, it was
in other sectors, and all of the experience that you picked up from the other businesses that you worked before you came along into fish and chips, and you applied all of that to how you were going to help fish and chip shops with their own brands.
It was.
And I always thought that your colour schemes were adventurous or bold. Obviously, people trusted you with their brands, but you seemed to move them forward. Whenever you did a new sign or you did a new menu, it was really punchy. So, in terms of timeline, when did you actually start BD Signs?
BD Signs, 20. No, I've always been around the fish and chip side of the industry in promotions. 30, 35 years of it, easy. BD Signs. When I made my mark was 20, 25 years. When I decided, I love this brand because I do see it as a brand. Fish and chips is a brand. It's the healthiest fast food out there. Hands down, I don't care what anybody says. Fish from the sea, frozen sea fish is frozen in the sea water that it swims in. Peas from the plant, potatoes from the ground, the batter, 4 ingredients. It's 4 ingredients, and that's what you've got. Yeah. So it's a brand that's understated. I looked at it from that perspective, and it's the Queen's dish. Let's be clear. It's the great British dish. It's the oldest fast food in England. So working with a lot of the other brands, it was like, this one's a no-brainer. The brand Fish and Chips is massive. It's got its seaside memories. It's got everything. So it was about 20, 25 years ago. I really, really 35 years. I really pushed it 20, 25 years ago. That's when I really looked at it and took it very seriously and just drew through it. And it was the help of brands like the National Lottery. It was like Virgin Records even did work for Virgin Records. The way they could brand themselves with one word or one logo, and it was such a simple impact. The 3-color rule. Then the next part was when you go into the shop, the customer experience. It's not like bringing people in with a shop, new shop front, a new sign, a new brand, a new image, new tiles on the walls or anything. But then the next stage was bringing them in. So when they came in, what do you do with the customer when they come in?
You've got to deliver on that as well.
Yeah, you've got to deliver on that massively. And when a customer looks to menu and it's listed fish, small, medium, large, cod, haddock, small, regular, large chips, and pies, pocket pies, Peter's pies, and so on, it's not a menu that excites you. You already know what you're having. You're buying what you came in for. You're not having anything extra, barely, So it was looking at that and going, well, how do we get this customer experience? Because when you go to a multiples, a larger chain of fast foods, the children's excitement, the consumer excitement, the customer service, the purchasing area, the softer counters, not so much stainless steel and everything. All of that to me is a brand. A brand is not the sign. That is the easy part. The color scheme is more important than the actual, the signage, how it's made and everything. The color scheme in its own right. But then taking them through a journey, taking them through the front door, the handrail on the front door, it's a massively important part. Just how you are presented, the entrance, it's a massively important part. We're going in, making the range areas softer, which is why we drive and push a lot of these acrylic front counters. You see these printed graphics of sailing boats and everything on the front of the range panels. We're trying to soften the experience. Then go into the menu, customers looking at the menu. You want fish and chips. Let me show you small fish chips and a sauce peas, because that's a great profit area. And then let's add some more to it. Let's add a can. Let's add a side. Let's not call it extra. A little bit more. A side. Add it for 99p is a massive thing that we drive. Let's not list them as extras and these sort of words, because it's not an exciting menu to buy from. So we spent a lot of time with brand awareness. So as much as we're called BD Signs and Digital, there's a lot more goes behind it. And it's been great. And the response from the customers is fantastic. To be listened to. Obviously, I like that, Barry. I can talk the hind legs off a donkey, but to work with clients and have the respect and to actually speak to them months later and say, we are busier. We are turning over more money. Trade is greater. Staff are happier. The experience is fantastic. It is something that drives, that keeps me going in the trade.
Yeah, one thing, one observation that I have to make is you make independent retailers look like they're part of a corporate chain with your branding. Certainly when I first saw portfolios of your work, you before and afters, which I always enjoy, but because they also capture the industry, it's like a snapshot in time, because things always move on and they always evolve. And then when you look at the body of your work and look at some of your earlier stuff, it seems really dated now, but it was actually really ahead of its time then. Yeah. So maybe I'm a bit of an anorak, but I like looking at your earlier stuff because, like I said, colours were bold. Yeah. Shops that looked like they were family owned suddenly looked like they were corporate and part of a chain, and that adds value to the customer experience. When a customer comes into a shop and it looks polished, it looks like a new button, and you've softened it as well as you already said. The customer experience spend goes up, and I relate to that because I've experienced it myself. I've had, whenever you have a refit and it's done right, you always feel the benefits. It almost becomes not a cost but an investment.
Oh, it's massively an investment. Yeah, it really is.
It always pays off. It's very rare that you can have a good refit and it doesn't up your turnover up massively.
Yeah, no, we deal with a lot of shop fitting companies as well, and I've learned a lot from them. You know, I go in looking at. I've seen some great shop fitters that taught me a lot. You know, and I've taught them a lot. You know, the position of the counter, the foot flow, the equipment behind the counter. There's a lot goes into a shop, you know, and to modernise the industry. So when you say make them corporate, the brand that I've always tried to make, without making them all look the same, is the brand Fish and Chips. It's an important to me. That's the brand. You know, it's the only industry you still go to, Mark. This is really important. It's the only industry you still go to where, hello, how are you? How's your mum? How's your dad? The only industry where you're asked by most of the staff how you are. It's the only industry that really does that. You don't get that from any other industry. So it is a local community shop. They see 3 and 4 generations of family, you know, come into their shop.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you still get that hello, you know, how are you? Thank you. When most other food shops you go to, not calling them, they haven't got 150 years. That's what it is. 150 years of history is an important part of what the brand Fish and Chips is.
It's important that you don't throw that baby out with the bathwater.
Yeah.
When you give somebody a new brand and a new identity, you have to retain that connection with your own community as well, because it's part of what makes somebody go to that shop. So you need to facelift them and make them add value to their brand, but also retain that familiarity.
Oh yeah, and stamp it as well, Mark. With, you know, a lot of our shops, you'll see it'll say established in 1982, serving the Great British Dish for over 40 years. So it'll have, you know, the name of so and so's fish and chip shop, and it'll say serving the Great British Dish since 1978, something like that. So the history is a really important part. It really is an important part. But in today's world as well, in how fast today's world changes, simplicity is a more important part now. So when shops are branding their walls with tiles and loud and proud colours and everything, it dates so much easier, you know. So you've got to be able to keep up with the times as well. So a lot of our work we do with shops is not just supplying our goods, but it's also advising them on how to do more in work with shop fitters or work with local builders in the shops. You know, so many of the shops, you look at what we do now is, you know, we have a feature wall, you know, a hero color wall or whatever it may be, and half the wall's painted, only probably a third of it's tiled on average. Behind the counter is the kitchen. In front of the counter is the customers. You know? So to be able to change them colors is an important part, where digital plays a massive part of that as well, because of what you can do with digital. But yeah, you know, the brand Fish and Chips, and I'll probably call it forever that, the brand Fish and Chips has to remember its history. You know, the NFFF are a massive part of that. You know, they drive they drive the historical background of Fish and Chips and everything. You know, there's a lot of big companies out there that drive it as well. You know, when you look at a lot of the larger companies have really taken on board as of late in the last 3 to 5 years. I've seen a lot of that as well, where they're trying to help shops and work with shops a lot more, looking at the packaging. You know, it was very behind with packagings in the industry. You know, if you look at the customer experience, still having Fish and Chips wrapped up when everybody else was in a box or a plastic carton, you know, and we were still wrapping the food up. You know, so a lot of suppliers have helped a lot now as well.
Yeah. I've got a couple of points that I want to throw at you, because one of them was actually from something you said to me at the Chippy Chat Open Day, and the other one is completely out of the blue. You've got no idea this is coming, but I just want your steer on it, because I trust you, and I know that you will have thoughts about it. So the first one is that you said to me, actually, it wasn't at Chippy Chat, it was at KFE Open Day. You said this to me. You said to me, fish and chips is one of the very, very few cuisines where there isn't a portion size. And you said that to me. You said, a pizza, it's a 12-inch or it's a 9-inch or it's a this or it's a that. And burger, it's a quarter pounder or it's a half pounder. But with fish and chips, until you've paid for it, you don't know what you're getting. And in the Midlands, it's going to be bloody huge. And so that's something that I know you've helped people with their, when they're putting their menus together, on actually improving their profitability, and by having set size portions and by doing meal deals and stuff like that. And we'll come to that. The second thing, which you had no idea this is coming, you say about promoting brand fish and chips. People love fish and chips. They go to the fish and chip shop, but there's another brand out there that they also love, and that's the chippy.
Yeah.
They love a chippy tea. They go to the chippy.
Yeah.
And fish isn't mentioned.
Yeah.
And with cod prices the way they are at the moment, and the challenges facing the industry, and the fact that your menus are digital, so to change something on your menu is a lot easier than having to print new menus and putting it up. Do you think that some fish and chip shops are going to end up being chippies rather than fish chip shops, and actually move their menus away from fish and chips and still be a chippy, still be I'm going to the chippy, but actually look for profit in other places and try and give still sell fish, but get rid of the large cod, start doing. And the reason I ask this is because we're both going to the Friars Pride show this weekend, and I'm going to do a talk about how to maximise the profit on your menus. So the question is there likely to be less fish and chips in a chippy? Are we going to start branding more as a chippy? Right? Is there going to be a national federation of non-fish fryers?
Right. Let me ask you the question back then. When you buy fish and chips, what are you buying? Are you buying fish and chips as a flavour, or buying it on volume? When you now buy fish and chips, are you buying it on flavour or volume? And the reason, it's a leading question. The fish size doesn't matter anymore. The fish size does not matter anymore. It has no consequence. The meal size matters. The meal. So portion control is the be all and end all of the survival of fish and chip shops. Chippies, fish and chip shops, both. It's the be all and end all of survival. If you do not get control of your portions, you'll never control your staff that serve it. You'll never give the customer the consistency. You'll never make profit. You'll never make profit. Going large on a fish loses you money in profitability. Yeah. So it's gone. We are not a country of coal miners anymore. Industrialists. We're not. We're not consuming carbs. We're not doing that anymore. We are now eating for flavour and experience. Look at the amount of sushi shops. Look at the amount of smash. The burgers. They rewrote the package. Smash burgers. It's the same burger and it's messy. It's loads of different toppings. It's still meat. So fish and chips will not survive unless it sorts its portion control out and sorts its brand out, which is the flavour, the experience, the seasides, the nostalgia. You've been with grandma, you've been with dad, you've hung around on a bike outside a chip shop. You've done all of your growing up, if you look at food, mostly around fish and chip shops. Yep, everybody has, with nostalgia. So the leading question to you was, what are you buying? Are you buying the volume or are you buying the taste, the nostalgia? Which one are you buying when you buy fish and chips?
So I'll tell you why it's difficult for me to answer that question, because I've lived in and around fish and chip shops all my life. So I'm not a regular fish and chip customer. And so for me to answer that, for me, it's all about the taste. It's about, well, it's not just about taste. It's about the experience. It's about texture. It's about the flavour. When I go into a fish and chip shop, I pull the product apart with my eyes. I can look at a piece of fish and I can understand what size fish that's come off. I could probably tell what they're frying from 200 yards. I can, it's a different experience for me. But
what
for
do
the
you think
average
the
member
consumers
of the
think
public,
What do you think the consumers buy?
From the average member of the public, some people still live in this crazy world where they think they're going to feed the family for a fiver. A portion of chips should feed 5 people, and we need to work on that. And I know that you help your clients to work on that.
Oh, massively.
I know you do.
Massively. Reduce the size of the fish. You know, it's an important part. People don't even share fish anymore. You don't snap a fish in half and share it anymore. You know, so you've got 50% of the resolve there is to actually reduce the size of the fish. Sharing chips is always going to be a hard one.
And on Sunday at the Friars Pride show, because we're recording this a couple of days before, I'm not sure if this is going to go out before or after the show.
Okay.
I am going to talk about how you can get more from a slab of fish, more profit, more eating experiences. Because if you let's keep the numbers simple. If you cut a slab into 30 pieces, you've got 30 experiences for your customer.
Yes.
If you cut a slab into 60 pieces or 90 pieces, you've got 90 experiences for a customer. And there's so many things that aren't appearing on fish and chip shop menus that should be on menus that require less fish, but are just so tasty, so edible. Improve the margin. Nobody's breadcrumbing little bits of cod because we've got scampi. But why not?
Yeah.
Why not do fish goujons in breadcrumbs with a sauce to dip it in? Homemade fish cakes,
they're massive.
Stelios fish cake mix. It's amazing.
I can't tell you shops names, but I can tell you a couple of trends that I've seen that are really that I think inspire me. So I know one shop run by a fantastic guy. He's got 3 or 4 shops. He's doing loaded chips, but he's really thought about the topping. So just chips with topping, loaded. And I won't tell you what's in it either, but it is not full of sauce. It is not out of a bloody bottle. It's portion control of the amount of each product, and then the chips, and it's loaded with more than just chips. And it's loaded with a bit of spring onion, a bit of this, bit of whatever. Now, twice I've been there, and I've totally changed mine to that, and it's not covered in sauce. And it has a sauce on it, but it's not covered in sauce. So there's that one there. I went to another brand where they serve 2-ounce cups so they'll do chips and fish, and it'll come with 2 sauces, 2-ounce peas and a 2-ounce curry. I think it's fantastic. My kids love that one. They love the choice of the 2 sauces. So, you can repackage the same food and recreate new flavors out of the same food as well, and add a few extra bits in. You haven't got to go and put, some new hot dog machines in and loads of other things. Saying that, I think hot dogs work really well with fish and chip shops, but that's my perception. I think it's a very easy alternate serve, straight out bread and hot dog. But they've got to try a few other different things. But I think the most important part is repackaging the brand fish and chips. And the fish goujons is a massive winner. And lemon still works great with fish goujons. And I think there's a lot more you can do with the brand without taking away its history. It really is.
Have you got clients coming to you now asking you to help them adapt their menu so that they can
every day
so they can turn up the profit?
Every single day. It's finally getting out there. I've been a big champion of this for years anyway. Maximizing your profit of a menu, positioning the high profit items in a certain place. It's not insulting the customer. It's not trying to trick the customer. The other products are still there, but you're saying, look, I'm a chef, which I believe fish and chip shop. Everybody calls them fries. I call you chefs. You know your food products. And positioning certain items in a certain place, as an example, where you finally get served from should be your additions and your drinks. Shouldn't be the fish and chips. Should be a couple of adverts there. Should be the prime things you want to sell. They've already walked down the queue, or they've already looked around the shop. So and it's every day. There's not a day that doesn't go by where I'm not receiving texts and messages asking, Barry, can you redesign it? I've got a great team now that know this now. I've driven it into them. Let's look at making more profit off that menu. Serve the food in a different way or position the items in a different place, and let's look at it. So it's now flowing that much that my staff, I train them on that aspect. It's a really important part. We're not rewriting a price, we're creating a profitable menu. And that's the most important part. Reduce the portions is a big part of that, but add other bits to it.
Yeah, there are two things. I just want to take you back. I know I'm being, firing off in different directions, but it's really important because I always try and give my listeners as much knowledge sharing and gold as possible. There's two things that I want to acknowledge that you play a big part in, because I think you're probably too humble to speak up on them. So I'm gonna remind you of them. One is upselling, and we'll come to that second. But I want to mention it first because you have always been a champion of the upsell, and also bolting things on to meals and creating meal deals. Yeah. So we'll come to that in a second. But the other thing I really want to thank you for on behalf of the industry is COVID. Not for causing COVID, but for how you kept so many people going, because a lot of people chose to take the money and shut to be safe, and I totally respect that. I don't, I'm not making any judgments. And if you were one of the shops that shut, and then I applaud you for that. Everybody has to make the decision based around what they were feeling at the time. I didn't. I stayed open, and I considered myself an essential worker, and I tried to keep morale high in my community by doing contactless deliveries. You sprang into action, and you created sneeze guards, safety posters, footprints, sticky footprints that you can put on the floor to safe distance people. You came up with so much stuff so quickly, and that allowed a lot of your customers to actually trade safely and provide a valuable service. And
well, I'll tell you how that came about.
Yeah,
we was fantastically busy, growing, amazing. Dealing with some good, strong brands as well. We was dealing with the Chesterford Group and a few other big brands. And with their support, we grew as well. They used us, they trusted us. And when the government decided to close the doors and say, that's it now, furlough, and great support system to put in place. I don't care what anybody says. To me personally, I think the support system was fantastic. It had its benefits. It had its downfalls, like anything. You can never get it right. But I had to have that conversation with all the staff to say, guys, look, it's announced now. Well, look, just before that, I spent, when COVID hit, every night watching TV. Every single night. It was important to me. I knew it was going to affect the industry. I knew it was going to affect the staff. I knew it was going to affect everybody. I could see what was happening with it. And, I've got goosebumps thinking about it now. I literally watched the news every night, 4 or 5 hours. I'd be up till 3 a.m. sometimes. And I knew it was coming. And I was trying to
find... It was scary, wasn't it? Really
massively scary. It really, 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 and I was a bit of a grumpy boy about it all and everything as well. So I was like, waiting for this to happen. When it did, even though I knew it was going to happen, the furlough, when it hit, and I told all the staff, and I knew what it was because I read into it and everything, they all went home. I turned around to an empty building and walked into the factory, and I've got jobs half built. I've got machines that are all stopped. I've literally got jobs on benches half built. Couldn't fit them. Couldn't do anything with them. So it was done, and the screen guards were just about coming about in the early days in medical centres already and everything as well. And I got a phone call. I think the first shop I ever did was George at Charnwood. And he closed and he rang up. He says, I've got to open. I have to open. For his own reasons. Never really asked what reasons there were, but he was adamant to open. And we went down. We had a walk down there, looked at his shop. And I went back and I come up with a plan. And we built the screen guards. And you couldn't buy these things. You've got to remember, the companies that were building screen guards were not going to share that design, that concept. They wanted to buy them from you. So I'm thinking, how do I support shops that are ringing me? They're ringing me. My phone was off the hook. Like, you wouldn't believe once it started going. And I was getting a bit scared for shops as well, because a lot of shops were panic buying. Buying products that wouldn't survive. I saw screen guards melting on top of hot boxes. I saw screen guards that were sealed from the counter to the ceiling and a little hole. People going, they can't spit, they can't, the spit can't travel. The germs can't travel. I'm going, well, it can, because what you've created is a tunnel. The air flows nowhere now. You've got these extraction systems behind you. You've blocked off the whole of the shop.
So much air through.
Yeah, and all the air's coming through to your member of staff, and that's what's happening, because it's flowing that way. And fire hazards. I saw so much with fire hazards and everything. So I really got into it, and then I had to look at it from so many different angles. Outside, we looked at stickers inside the shops on the tiles and everything. Yeah, fantastic and easy. Branded them. Quite enjoyed that bit of that we could create a brand around it. But then you had to stand outside. How do you get customers? Because then it went from 1 meter, 2 meters, 3 meter distances and everything. So we created spray plates that you could just get yellow paint from B&Q, wherever it was, and off the internet, and literally put
Stencils.
a template down. Yeah, that was it. And that was one of my proudest moments, because it proved I love the industry as well. I panicked. You were my customers. You were my friends. You were my associates. This brand that I loved, I panicked for it. And there was massive confusion of what people can and can't do. So, I was out there surveying shops and advising what they can do, reading into the rules and the laws and everything, So I did a lot of work on that, and, produced lots of things. And I did a lot of this on my own at the beginning. I was physically switching the machines on, trying to cut screen guards. Now, I was the boss. I forgot how to use these machines. There was a lot of that work. So there was a lot of mistakes all over the floor. I'll tell you that, but it was something that I'm very proud of. It got to the capacity where I couldn't produce anymore, couldn't get staff to come back. So I worked with other companies that were friends of mine in the industry, or friends of mine from school as well, and I bought from them. Then we started doing the visors for people's faces and everything, and we created a couple of concepts that could work with the heat issue we have in chip shops, the steam, the breathing, wiped down with grease and everything. So I then just started buying and selling them. But I'll tell you something, my profit margin was very little. It didn't matter to me. I had no overheads. It was already gone. You got to remember, when the government closed down and paid everybody, they didn't pay me, and they didn't pay my wife. We got minimum of £600-700. That was it. Because we didn't pay wages to ourselves, and we were directors, we was paid £600 a piece a month. Running a house, 3 kids, no money coming in. So it was with passion I did that, because I could have just sat back and gone, sod it. No one's paying me. No one's looking after me. I could have just said, I'm done. I'm going to be selfish. But you guys are important to me. You guys have given me all the fun, all the love, and all the life, and all the respect. So it's an important part. But yeah, it was a tough period.
Well, you've also shown your love for the industry in the way that you've supported the awards. You're always involved in the Fish and Chip Awards, either sponsoring a particular award or with
15 years now.
Printing, which again, you're punching above your weight, because you're not one of these huge companies in the industry, but you do have quite an interesting statistic on how many customers have you served over this. You did give me this statistic once on the amount of people that have used BD signs for their signs.
Out of the awards, out of the top 10, we average between 6 and 8 of the top 10. Always, we've served them. Out of the whole awards, I think we're 67% of them have used us. most entrances that go into it. We have over 4,500 fish and chip shops on our books that I've worked with through all my time. So it's a lot of shops,
It's crazy.
From a leaflet to the full signage, the full brand and everything. Proud of that statistic, very proud of it. We also sponsor the Fry Top 50s. We also sponsor Chippy Chat. We've got Isle of Eli Day. We've sponsored and still support the National Fish and Chip Week through Neoda. And I think I've missed one event in 15 years as well of the trade shows. So whether I want to go, don't.
And you're always at the bar.
Oh yeah, that part there. Yeah, I'm always the last man standing nearly as well. But apart from a couple of other ones that are pretty close to me, but yeah, it's an industry. Well. I want to think about it now. You bring it up. I want to think about it. I've been involved in every award, every sponsorship, every promotion, and they don't all make me money. I'll go to anybody's open day. I'll support it. I go to support. We gain trade, please. I think your listeners understand as business people that I go for for other reasons than just the love. But I have appeared at every one.
There is genuine love there.
Yeah,
and there is genuine love there. I know that, and that's what I wanted. That's what I wanted the listener to get from this conversation is the fact that behind the man at the bar, there's actually somebody who really actually does very much care about this business.
Oh, I do.
And really, you shouldn't have been successful in the menu business because you can't spell for shit.
I can't stop. I'm absolutely crap at it. I think one of the reasons I went to digital was because of that reason. Listen, I can spell kebab so many different ways. It's unbelievable. There's only 5 letters in it. I don't even know if there is. It is. And I love the story of if we spell something wrong now, it's brilliant. We just bloody change it. Press of a button. You
change it in an instant.
No more reprints. No more reprints.
It doesn't cost hundreds of pounds. So, if you had an opportunity to list a few people that have had massive influence over the years, or people that you would like to say thank you to, I know Michael was working with you for many years. He was in the business, and obviously he's your brother. I don't know your 2 other brothers. What do they do?
Maybe he's got a computer shop. He helped me, actually gave me my programmer who helped me, was it 15, 16 years ago, create the B Digital program. So he's been a very, very big part of it. We don't work together, he supplies me all of my PCs and like my servers and everything as well. But he was a big part of the beginning of the B Digital. It was in my essence, I need to find a programmer, and he gave me a programmer, and I still work with that man now. Paul Best, he was one of the architects of the program for me. Stephen Dickman is my brother. He's worked for me as a fitter and in the factory for 7 years. Left for 2, and he's back now. Bro's back, so he's back with me now. Yes, Stephen's back with me now. Right. Michael's left. I'm sure most people know that now. Michael's left. He works for another great company. He's still in the industry, but Michael's going to be emigrating. So, I don't really want everybody to know that, but you all know it now. So he's going back to Cyprus with his lovely wife, because she's from there. That's where they met, in Cyprus.
Okay, we'll see him on a beach somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to rent his house. Well, not pay for it, but I'm going to stay at his house when I go to Cyprus, aren't I? That's what I'm happy with. And other big influences are, look, Nicky Hawkins has been a great influence to me. I've always admired Nicky's tenacity and straight talking. There's many occasions when Nicky's been in the shop, she's gone, and she's rang me and said, Barry, you spelt this menu wrong. So she's been a thorn in my side. I swear, you ask her about it. She has many a time called me. I'm in so-and-so shop. Barry,
do you still speak to her? Because she's Nicky Darlington now, isn't she?
Yes. No, I haven't spoke to Nicky in 2 years, bless. We were very strongly into it. I think a year and a half, 2 years ago.
I speak to her regularly.
Lovely.
She's dodging me. I've asked her and asked her and asked her to come on here.
Oh, she should
and
do.
She won't do it. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's a conversation everybody wants to hear.
Oh, she's got the conversation.
So,
yeah, she knows things.
And any listener who's still in touch with Nikki Darlington, just message her, ring her, phone her, email her.
I'm actually going to text her now whilst we're talking. I'm going to text her now whilst we're talking. Tell her I'm doing a podcast.
Tell her to stop dodging me and come on this podcast.
Yeah,
Or I'm going to have Andy Gray, and I love Andy, but people want to hear Nikki's story.
Oh, yeah. Nikki was the.
She's done so much for so many.
Well, she was the architect behind the Fish and Chip Awards. The structure that was set up there became very, very hard to do something with. But a lot of the structures she put in place, a lot of the teachings and everything she did within that, I thought was fantastic. She was a great mentor, and I lent on her a lot. I did lean on Nikki a lot for information, redirection. I even asked her to help me become more known in the industry. So Nikki really helped with that side of it. Another great guy was Andrew Constantine, most of them known from George's Tradition, George's Kitchen.
Lovely man.
Not many people know this, but Andrew's second shop that he ever bought underneath the name under the brand of George's, I was going into partnership with him. I pulled out of it. Biggest mistake I ever made at the time, for love reasons. But basically, yeah. So Andrew's been a great mentor of mine. And I liked what Andrew created in the brand. In Andrew's heyday,
very intelligent, knowledgeable man, isn't he?
Phenomenal. What he created, one of the first shops I ever saw, where I remember going into his head office, which was a rarity in our industry, as you know, and there was a bunch of leaflets there. Sorry, you didn't enjoy your food. And if anybody ever rang and complained, he gave them free fish and chips. He says, I'm really sorry about it. Please come back and see us again. I'm going to post you out a free fish and chip leaflet. And he understood the second chance, and he understood also, to keep a consumer, you've got to, listen to them, and accept their reasonings within reason. Another great person was a Jewish gentleman, Henry Hallam, who had a jeweller's. Nothing to do with the industry. A very rich gentleman, a very influential gentleman, and he was really interested in what I was doing. He was really interested in what I was doing in the fish and chip industry, and he really helped me and took me through some financial decision making and everything. And look, the biggest influence is my mum and dad. They really are. Little story about my father. My father, when he met my mother, was a builder, and he had great skills at scrambling, cross-country, off-roading motorbikes. Had a beautiful Capri and everything. Spent a couple of years trying to get my mother to notice him. He used to go to the chip shop most nights and talk to her about her plants in the chip shop. And when he became part of our family, he sold his Capri, bought I think it was a Granada, so he could fit us all in, sold his motorbikes, and started working in chip shops. And he was a builder, a very successful builder. Now, and he would work from 6 a.m. till 4, finish at 4, be in the chip shop at 4:30, 5 o'clock, working with my mum till 12 o'clock. And the love and the passion I saw them two have was something that's really driven me to try and be the same, and their ambition to work has been very successful. And I think I get it from them a lot. They are really important to me. My mother and my father, they're just amazing, But they're the people. There's others out there. How many names can you give? How many different stories can you give? You'd need hours of podcast to do it. But they're the main people, that I would like to say thank you to, and a couple of them have passed away, so bless them, and thank you to you guys as well. They're the ones that really are important to me. Mark, I'm not saying this just for saying it, Mark. You've steered me to a few decent directions as well, Mark. So you're one of them.
We've never had a drink because I'm shit at drinking.
You are crap.
I can't drink. I flirt
Look,
with lamp-posts.
I destroy you, Mark. Look, there's a tequila drink. Everybody knows me as Tequila Barry, as you know. Mate, I think you'd be off for a year.
So where can people find out more about BD Signs? What tell us about your website. You're on social media. I know you're going to be at the Fry's Pride show this weekend.
Yeah.
I think this will probably go out after the show. You've helped me with my presentation, so a lot of the things that I'm going to be talking about on Sunday have come from you, and I don't think that this podcast has necessarily shown off your full range of talents because we're just chatting.
Yeah.
I think you need to be in front of a client looking at their menu for people to see what you can actually do for them, to be in their shop. But where can people find out more about you?
Well, our website, BD Signs, and BD Signs Nottingham as well, two websites. Well, both the same website, I should say, but web addresses. Social media, YouTube channel. We've got a YouTube channel as well, showing a lot of old interviews and old presentations that I've done. Facebook's a big driver for us. And the other big thing is we're the only company in the UK, actually probably even bigger, that's got a showroom dedicated to the brand. We've got 3,500 foot showroom with every type of menu system, every type of sign. We've physically got signs lit up on the wall, not just letters. So
I've been there.
Yeah, it's a customer experience centre, and it's a massive important part. But go on the website, it's listed, it's there. You'll see everything that we do, from different types of signs to clothing to leaflets to point of sale, feather flags, banner pole systems, pavement signs, digital displays. So we also do social media. We also do ordering apps. We also do websites for people. So, it's a full mix of what's needed for point of sale for a shop. So go on the website, have a look there, but then come and see us. Come and see us. Look, if it takes you 2 hours to visit us, you're going to go away with an idea. It's a customer experience center. You don't have to buy. We have people coming in that just come in for a coffee, and I love feeding that information. And when you come and see us, we're proud. We've got signs that we've done for Pret a Manger, signs that we've done for Wendy's Burgers, signs that we've done for Heavenly Desserts, FSW, Sushi Mania, a lot of other brands that are not in the fish and chip sector, and these are big brands that we've worked with. We've got, I mean, look, I'm proud now. We're doing Harry Ramsden's. I love the brand. That was my target, by the way. I always had, so thank you, James. I always needed to do a Harry Ramsden sign because that was one of the brands that had its biggest story at the beginning, So, you can find us on social media and websites, but the best way to experience Team BD is to come and see the team and come to the showroom and have a bottle of whiskey. Sorry, a glass of whiskey, a glass of vodka, a coffee, a cappuccino, a glass of water, whatever you want. It's all there. The full array's there, so every character's welcome, and have a look at it. Today, that's where we are. We do everything for the industry. You'll find us on the website. It's the best bet.
Okay. That seems like a really good place to end it. Thank you so much for being so open. I hope this hasn't been too painful for you.
Happy
and I hope the listener will know Barry Dickman a little bit better. I've certainly enjoyed it. Thank you very much. I'll see you at the bar at the next event, and I'll see you at Fry's Pride. I'll see you at Fry's Pride the day after on Sunday.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, and to all your customers, keep on serving, guys. Love you all.
That's a wrap from today's episode with Mark Petrou and Barry Dickman from BD Signs. What stood out to you? Let us know on the Ceres Podcast discussion group. Share your thoughts because we absolutely love hearing from you. I get so many texts when an episode is released, but nobody wants to sort of put their comments out live. But it's all cool. Whatever you fancy doing, we're up for it, whatever way. And don't miss out by subscribing to our mailing list and WhatsApp announcement group. There we have exclusive offers, updates, industry insight, and they're free. Our WhatsApp group is one way. It's just notifications. There you will get shipping updates as well. You won't get that on email. So yeah, if there's any delays, you'll find out on the WhatsApp notification group. At Ceres, we're here to support your business with top quality products, smart tools and fresh ideas. Thanks for listening to Mark and Barry, and we'll catch you in the next episode.